In the world of politics, a single moment can sometimes carry the weight of an entire debate. When former President Donald Trump posed a direct and pointed question to Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, no one expected the response that followed to ignite such a powerful reaction. Her answer was not only bold but also thought-provoking, leaving both supporters and critics stunned. It wasn't just about the exchange of words, it was about courage, clarity, and the ability to stand firm in the face of challenge. This moment has since become a symbol of how one voice, when spoken with conviction, can shake an entire room and spark conversations across the nation. In the world of political dialogue, questions are often more powerful than speeches. A single question has the ability to cut through carefully rehearsed talking points and expose the true character of the person being questioned. When Trump asked Crockett that one sharp question, it became more than just a moment of exchange between two political figures, it became a test of composure, intelligence, and authenticity. Throughout history, political leaders have faced defining moments where a question put to them either elevated their credibility or diminished their standing. This is because questions, unlike statements, demand an immediate response. They do not allow for long preparation or crafted narratives. They corner the person into a situation where the truth of their character, their knowledge, and their principles is revealed instantly. Crockett found herself in that very situation, and her answer demonstrated how a person can seize such a moment to turn the pressure into an opportunity. The power of a single question lies in its simplicity. A well-framed question does not require a long setup, it gets straight to the heart of the matter. Audiences are naturally drawn to moments where pressure is high, because people instinctively want to see how someone reacts when the mask of control begins to slip. In this case, the question Trump posed carried an edge of challenge, one that could have easily unsettled or silenced a less prepared figure. However, Crockett's ability to respond with clarity and confidence turned the encounter into a moment of revelation. Instead of being exposed negatively, she flipped the dynamic and revealed not only her stance but also her composure under pressure. A question, when asked in the right way, can act like a mirror. It reflects the values, priorities, and even the vulnerabilities of the person answering. Leaders, politicians, and public figures cannot afford to ignore this power, because one misstep in responding can undo years of carefully built reputation. On the other hand, a strong response can instantly catapult someone into the spotlight and elevate their status in the eyes of both allies and critics. This is precisely why debates, press conferences, and hearings are moments of such tension. They are not just about policy, they are about testing the person behind the policy. Crockett's ability to stand firm revealed not only her knowledge but also her determination to own her narrative, no matter who was questioning her. This dynamic also illustrates how a question can reveal character in ways that speeches never can. A speech can be written, revised, and perfected by a team of advisors, but an answer to a live question cannot. It is raw, immediate, and unscripted. Audiences sense authenticity in these moments, and authenticity is often more powerful than eloquence. Crockett's reaction showed that authenticity, when paired with preparation and confidence, can disarm even the sharpest of challenges. Trump's question may have been intended to unsettle her, but instead, it created a stage on which she could display strength. The psychology behind why a question holds so much power is also worth noting. Human beings are naturally wired to pay attention to problem solving. When a question is asked, the mind of the audience begins searching for possible answers even before the speaker responds. This means that when Crockett answered, people were already engaged, already comparing her response to their own expectations. The fact that her answer shook the room shows that it defied those expectations and carried a weight that resonated far beyond the words themselves. A single question created an emotional experience for everyone present, because it forced both Crockett and the audience to confront something unscripted and real. Moreover, such moments highlight the role of courage in leadership. Answering a challenging question from someone like Trump, who is known for his confrontational style, requires more than just knowledge. It requires courage to remain composed, to speak clearly, and to avoid being intimidated by the personality or the position of the one asking. Crockett's performance in that moment was an illustration of how courage manifests itself not in grand gestures but in the calmness and firmness with which one answers a difficult question. People remember courage when they see it displayed, and that is why her answer left such a lasting impression. This moment also reinforces the idea that truth often comes out in unplanned exchanges. Planned speeches can hide weaknesses, but questions can expose them. A simple question can pierce through rehearsed rhetoric and demand honesty, whether or not the respondent is ready. The fact that Crockett's answer carried such power means that she was prepared not only with knowledge but also with authenticity. She did not hide behind vague words or evasions, which is why her response resonated so deeply. In politics, perception often matters as much as reality. A strong answer to a tough question can shift perception dramatically, making someone appear stronger, more capable, and more trustworthy in the eyes of the public. Trump's question may have been a political tactic, but the way Crockett handled it transformed the tactic into an opportunity for her to showcase her leadership qualities. The audience, both in the room and beyond, witnessed something unscripted that could not be faked. That is why questions are so dangerous for some and so powerful for others. They expose the real person behind the political image. Finally, the significance of this exchange reminds us that words alone do not define leadership. The way someone handles pressure, the way they answer when challenged, and the way they reveal their character in unscripted moments all define how they are remembered. Crockett's moment is a clear example of how a single question, simple yet sharp, can become a turning point. It did not just reveal her political stance, it revealed her strength, her readiness, and her character in a way no prepared speech could ever achieve. Courage in politics is not simply about standing on a stage and giving a powerful speech, it is about facing pressure in the moment and delivering a response that carries weight. When Jasmine Crockett responded to Trump's question, her words reflected more than just preparation or intelligence. They reflected courage and conviction, two traits that separate leaders from followers. In politics, moments of confrontation often reveal whether someone truly believes in what they stand for or whether they are hiding behind empty rhetoric. Crockett's answer was bold, not because it was rehearsed, but because it carried the tone of someone who was unwilling to back down, even when confronted by a figure as dominating as Trump. Her response reflected courage because it showed she was not afraid of conflict. Politics is often a stage where intimidation is used as a weapon. Trump's question was sharp, designed to put her on the defensive and to weaken her stance. But instead of retreating, she leaned into the moment. That choice, to embrace confrontation instead of shying away from it, is the essence of political bravery. She did not allow the setting, the audience, or the reputation of the one questioning her to shake her resolve. Instead, she turned the moment into proof that she was confident in her position and unafraid to make it clear. Conviction played an equally powerful role in shaping how her answer was received. People can often sense when someone is speaking from the heart versus when they are simply delivering a line. Crockett's answer was rooted in conviction, which gave her words a force that resonated beyond the immediate exchange. Conviction is what gives a response staying power. It is what makes an audience remember what was said long after the moment has passed. Her willingness to answer directly and firmly demonstrated that she was not only knowledgeable but also deeply committed to her principles. This commitment gave her an edge that no amount of rehearsed talking points could match. In many ways, her response was an example of how courage and conviction work together to create impact. Courage alone without conviction can appear reckless, while conviction without courage can remain unexpressed. But when both come together, the result is a response that not only withstands scrutiny but also inspires others. Crockett's answer revealed her strength to resist pressure and her passion for the truth she was standing on. That combination made her words land with such weight that they shook those who were listening. Courage in such moments also inspires trust. Audiences do not simply evaluate the words that are spoken, they evaluate the confidence and resolve behind them. Crockett's boldness sent a message that she was not willing to compromise her stance, no matter who was in front of her. That kind of visible courage creates a ripple effect, making people feel that they are witnessing a leader who will not waver under fire. Trust in leaders often comes from these unscripted, high-pressure moments where courage is tested, and Crockett's ability to rise to the occasion gave her an aura of credibility that speeches alone cannot achieve. Another important dimension of her response was how it exposed the imbalance of power. Trump has long been known for using his questions, remarks, and tone to dominate exchanges. He thrives on creating situations where others falter. Yet Crockett's bold response demonstrated that courage and conviction can level the playing field, no matter how powerful the opponent. She did not let the weight of his persona silence her, which showed that leadership is not about titles or reputations, it is about the strength of one's voice in critical moments. That defiance, rooted in courage, gave her answer a resonance that extended far beyond the walls where the exchange took place. Her boldness also carried an element of risk. Courage in politics is never without consequence. A strong response can invite criticism, controversy, and backlash, but it can also inspire admiration and respect. Crockett's choice to answer with conviction meant she was willing to face the fallout, no matter what it might be. That willingness to accept the risks associated with speaking boldly is itself a marker of leadership. Leaders cannot calculate every move based on safety, they must sometimes risk backlash to remain true to their values. By doing so, Crockett reminded the public that real conviction does not bend for the sake of convenience. Furthermore, the emotional force of her answer highlighted how conviction transforms words into action. Listeners do not simply hear the content of an answer, they feel the strength with which it is delivered. Crockett's response carried an energy that told the audience she believed in every word she was saying. That energy is what shook the room, because conviction resonates on an emotional level that logic alone cannot reach. People may forget the exact phrasing of what was said, but they never forget how a bold response made them feel. Her courage gave her words presence, and her conviction gave them staying power. This moment also reinforces how important authenticity is in political courage. A person who responds boldly but without genuine belief risks being exposed as insincere. Crockett's conviction protected her from that risk, because her words were rooted in authenticity. She was not pretending to be strong, she was strong because she truly believed in her stance. That authenticity magnified the impact of her response and made it nearly impossible for critics to dismiss it as a rehearsed performance. Audiences crave authenticity in leaders, and when courage and conviction are both genuine, the result is a moment that cannot easily be forgotten. It is also worth noting how her answer serves as a model for others in public life. Many avoid boldness out of fear of backlash or failure, but Crockett's example shows that courage, when paired with conviction, can turn the tide of a confrontation. It demonstrates that speaking with clarity and strength, even when under fire, is not only possible but also essential for anyone seeking to lead effectively. Her answer became a lesson in how moments of challenge can be turned into moments of triumph when one stands firm on principles. Ultimately, Crockett's response to Trump's question was more than just a verbal exchange. It was a showcase of political courage and moral conviction working in perfect harmony. It was a reminder that true leadership is not about avoiding conflict but about meeting it head-on, armed with the courage to speak and the conviction to stand by one's beliefs. It was bold not because it sought attention but because it revealed a leader who refused to be intimidated. That refusal to bend or break under pressure is what gave her response its power and made it a moment that continues to be talked about. The exchange between Trump and Crockett did more than capture a moment, it altered the way people viewed both figures and influenced the larger landscape of political discourse. Public perception in politics is often shaped less by long policy discussions and more by defining moments where words carry weight. When Trump posed the question and Crockett delivered her bold answer, it created a scene that immediately resonated with audiences. For many, this was not just about what was said, but about how it was said, and how the balance of power shifted in those few seconds. The impact of such moments is powerful because they become reference points, shaping narratives and influencing how leaders are remembered. Public perception is built on trust, confidence, and relatability. Crockett's response earned attention because it made her appear not only knowledgeable but also fearless. People watching were reminded that authenticity can stand up against theatrics. Her answer gave the impression that she was not just another politician playing the game but a leader willing to speak from conviction. That shift in perception elevated her status among supporters and drew the respect of many who might not have been familiar with her before. At the same time, the moment also exposed the vulnerability of Trump's usual strategy of dominating exchanges, showing that even someone with his presence could be met head-on by a voice of clarity and strength. The political discourse surrounding the exchange expanded rapidly because it offered both sides of the political spectrum a moment to debate. Supporters of Crockett saw her answer as a victory, a clear demonstration of composure and truth in the face of confrontation. Critics, on the other hand, were forced to respond, either by attempting to dismiss the moment or by trying to reframe it. The fact that the moment sparked such widespread discussion is proof of its impact. When a single question and answer dominate headlines, social media discussions, and television panels, it shows how powerful unscripted political exchanges can be. Another significant aspect of the impact was the way the moment traveled beyond the immediate audience. In today's digital age, moments like these do not stay confined to a room or a debate stage. They are clipped, shared, and replayed across platforms, reaching millions who may never have watched the exchange live. Crockett's answer became part of the broader online conversation, and public perception was influenced not just by the words but by the viral nature of the clip. Political discourse in the digital age thrives on these quick, powerful exchanges because they condense complex dynamics into something immediately understandable. One bold response can become a symbol, and that is what happened here. The exchange also influenced how people view courage in politics. Many observers felt that Crockett represented a kind of voice that was unafraid to challenge power directly. In a political environment often criticized for being filled with empty rhetoric, her answer provided an example of plain, bold speech that cut through the noise. This shaped public perception by elevating expectations. People began to demand more authenticity, more clarity, and more courage from leaders, because they had just witnessed how impactful it could be. As a result, political discourse began to place greater value on unscripted honesty, at least in the conversations sparked by this moment. On the other side, the exchange also affected Trump's image. Known for his ability to dominate interactions and control narratives, he was met with a response that disrupted his usual rhythm. This moment showed that his tactics could be challenged successfully, and that revelation altered the way some perceived his invincibility in public exchanges. Political discourse began to shift in subtle ways, with more figures willing to confront him directly rather than step cautiously. The moment created a ripple effect that encouraged others to adopt a bolder approach in future debates or hearings, because they had seen an example of how effective it could be. The impact on public discourse extended into the media as well. Analysts and commentators dissected the exchange, debating not only the content of the question and answer but also what it meant for the broader political environment. Such discussions highlight how political discourse thrives on moments of confrontation, because they provide tangible examples of leadership under pressure. Crockett's response became a case study in how boldness can redefine narratives, and this gave media outlets material to discuss issues of authenticity, courage, and power dynamics in politics. By dominating the conversation, the moment contributed to shaping the themes that political discourse focused on in the days and weeks following. Public perception is also influenced by the emotional undertones of moments like these. People often remember not just the words but the feeling the moment gave them. Crockett's answer evoked feelings of pride among her supporters and feelings of shock or surprise among neutral observers. Those emotional reactions solidify memories, making the exchange linger in people's minds. Political discourse is never just intellectual, it is emotional. This exchange reminded people that the emotional weight of words can carry as much impact as the logical content of policies. The resonance of the moment lay in its ability to stir emotions that translated into conversation, debate, and even admiration. The symbolic nature of the exchange added another layer to its impact. For some, Crockett's boldness represented the idea of standing up to established power, a theme that resonates deeply in democratic societies. Public perception often attaches symbolic meaning to such moments, turning them into more than just individual events. The discourse that followed was not just about Trump and Crockett, it was about the larger question of how leaders should handle confrontation, how truth should be defended, and how authenticity should be valued. This symbolic interpretation gave the moment a broader significance in the political imagination. Finally, the exchange illustrated the evolving nature of modern political discourse. In an age where attention spans are short and moments are consumed quickly, a single bold answer can achieve what long speeches cannot. Crockett's response demonstrated how one moment of courage can dominate headlines, shift narratives, and alter public perception in a way that resonates far beyond its original setting. The impact was not limited to those who were present, it spread across digital platforms, media channels, and conversations around dinner tables. This shows that in the current landscape, the perception of leadership is often defined by how someone responds to challenges in real time, and political discourse evolves around these defining exchanges.